September 11, 2025. A day that would be forever marked by tragedy at Utah Valley University. What began as a typical autumn morning on campus quickly unraveled into chaos, leaving a community and a nation in shock. Charlie Kirk, just 31 years old and already a household name as co-founder of Turning Point USA, had come to speak at the university. Known for his sharp rhetoric and ability to ignite passionate debate, Kirk was no stranger to controversy, drawing both fervent supporters and vocal critics wherever he went. But the event took a horrific turn when a gunman suddenly opened fire in the crowded auditorium, fatally wounding Kirk and sending students and faculty scrambling for safety. Sirens wailed as first responders rushed to the scene, and the campus was placed on immediate lockdown. Despite the efforts of medical teams, Kirk succumbed to his injuries at the hospital. His voice, once a force in the national conversation, was silenced, not by debate or argument, but by a single act of violence that stunned all who heard the news. The shooter, identified as 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, was apprehended after a tense and exhaustive manhunt that gripped the campus for hours. He surrendered to authorities without further incident, but the damage had already been done. News of Kirk's assassination spread rapidly, sending shockwaves across the country. The attack highlighted the dangerous escalation of political animosity in America, and left many questioning how such hatred could erupt into deadly violence. Regardless of one's political beliefs, Kirk's death forced a national reckoning. How did we reach a point where disagreement and division could lead to murder? The tragedy underscored the urgent need for reflection and dialogue in a deeply divided society. The university, once a symbol of open dialogue and intellectual exchange, was transformed overnight into a crime scene. The fear that spaces for civil discourse are vanishing became all too real for students and faculty alike. Charlie Kirk's tragic end stands as a stark warning, a reminder of the devastating consequences that can arise from unchecked political hatred and the loss of our ability to engage in respectful disagreement. In the aftermath of the shocking event, Montana Congressman Ryan Zinke stepped forward, calling Kirk's killing a watershed moment for America, a turning point that could not be ignored. Zinke's words echoed across the nation, resonating with those who feared the country was at a dangerous crossroads. Appearing on News Nation, Zinke argued that this was not just a random, isolated act of violence, but rather a symptom of a much deeper national sickness. He pointed to a growing climate of hostility and polarization that has been festering for years. Zinke insisted that Americans must return to debating ideas, not destroying those who hold them. He emphasized that the foundation of democracy is built on respectful disagreement and open dialogue, not hatred or violence. Zinke saw a tragic irony in Kirk's death, killed for advocating dialogue and the free exchange of ideas. He mourned the loss of a voice that championed civil discourse. He warned that when political opponents are treated as enemies, it lays the groundwork for violence and chaos. Zinke cautioned that this mindset threatens to unravel the very fabric of American society. If this path of division and animosity continues, Zinke cautioned, democracy itself is at risk. The institutions and freedoms Americans cherish could be lost if the nation fails to change course. He challenged Americans to make a choice. Let this tragedy fuel even more division and anger, or use it as a wake-up call to restore civility, compassion, and unity in public life. The choice, Zinke said, will ultimately shape the future of the American experiment, determining whether the nation can heal and move forward together. His warning was clear and urgent. The stakes have never been higher, and the responsibility to protect democracy rests with every American. Kirk's assassination is part of a disturbing trend of political violence. Zinke referenced the 2024 assassination attempt on former President Trump, showing even top leaders aren't immune. In June 2025, Minnesota's former House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed, and another state senator wounded. The 2022 hammer attack on Paul Pelosi, driven by conspiracy and hate, brought violence into political leaders' homes. These incidents aren't isolated, they're warnings that political violence is becoming alarmingly common. America's guardrails of civil discourse are failing. Utah Governor Spencer Cox responded with a heartfelt plea for civility and reconciliation, emphasizing the urgent need for respectful discourse in these polarized times. At a news conference, Cox quoted Kirk, "When people stop talking, that's when you get violence." He stressed that open dialogue is the cornerstone of a healthy society. The governor urged leaders and citizens alike to lower the temperature, see the humanity in their opponents, and work to rebuild bridges that have been burned by years of division and mistrust. Cox's message was clear. Civility isn't a sign of weakness. It's the strength to engage respectfully, even when there are deep disagreements. He called for a return to meaningful dialogue, not as a mere political tactic, but as an essential practice for the survival and health of our democracy. Cox's words resonated deeply with a nation exhausted by ongoing conflict and longing for substantial change and unity. The tragedy, he said, should be a moment for us to choose conversation over chaos, to come together rather than fall apart. The stakes are incredibly high, nothing less than the soul of the country is at risk. Kirk's assassination brings America to a crossroads. The core principle at stake: political disagreements must never be settled with violence. Reclaiming peaceful conversation requires effort from leaders and citizens alike, listening, understanding, and resisting the urge to dehumanize. Passionate debate is vital, but it must not become destructive demonization. The goal is persuasion, not annihilation, contest of ideas, not conquest of people. Let Kirk's death be a catalyst for change, a moment to step back from the abyss. The future of the Republic depends on rebuilding a culture where dialogue is valued and violence is condemned. Only then can America move forward.